What's going on, guys? Chandler here. So this is going to be my new segment on my YouTube channel called First Listen Review that is taken from my $5 tier full album reactions. So I react to the entire album, and then at the very end I give my overall thoughts and initial thoughts and a score on the album as a whole. So again, if you do like what you see and want to support the channel going forward, head over to patreon.com/ChandlerBurtonEntertainment. This is exclusive to the $5 tier. Again, you get a full album reaction, review, and a whole bunch of other perks as well if you guys are interested. And again, there's always a link down below in the description and in the pinned comment. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the review, and thank you all so much for watching. Alright, I did forget to mention as well, there is like a 3 a.m. edition where there's like 22 songs, and then I saw another one that had like 42 songs on it, which I think those are just like music videos and stuff on Apple Music. We are just going to be doing the standard 13 album one, because again, if we did the other one, it would be almost like an hour and 20 plus minutes, and even the like stuff that I generally listen to never goes on that long, so this one is a solid 49 minutes, and so it's still pretty long for 13 songs. But again, like, I'm looking forward to it here. I'm excited. Again, if it sucks, I will say it sucks. I have no problem saying if something sucks that I don't like it, but I'm going in with an open mind here. But I am really excited to check it out. But again, we're just doing the standard Midnight's edition, not the 3 a.m. edition, just to let y'all know that here. So let's go on and pop it off here. Again, Taylor Swift and her new album Midnights. Let's get into it here in 3, 2, and 1.
A few moments later.
I will say this, that song was probably, like, I know there's more songs on like the deluxe version, which again, we just did the standard, but I feel like that song, I feel like it felt like kind of a weak closer a little bit. But overall, man, legitimately, not joking around, I actually really liked it. I didn't love it. Okay, I don't want you to think that I'm be simping too much. I do like Taylor Swift, and I really like this album, so I'm super excited to talk about it here. So my first listen review is coming up next, so stick around for that. Alright, my friends, so again, that was Taylor Swift and her brand new album, Midnights. Again, we just got done jamming the standard version of the album, just the 13 songs here. I will say this, earlier this year, I did try to listen to Panic at the Disco's new album, and I tried to do it for a reaction. I couldn't finish it because it was truly horrible, and I just could not get through it. That was one of the first reactions I ever stopped, and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't finish this here. I was worried that was going to happen to Taylor Swift's Midnights. I was like, you know, it'll start out pretty good, but then it'll just get kind of boring all the kind of throughout. But I'm really happy to say that this was not a Panic at the Disco, Viva Las Vengeance type situation for me. I really enjoyed the album. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It's definitely right there in the middle for me here. As you all know, I am a metal consumer through and through. Again, there may be a few people watching this that think I just do music like this. I mainly react to like metal music. But again, I respect Taylor Swift for, again, writing her own stuff, for being very vulnerable with us. I really respect her as an artist, and I think her music actually is pretty good. So let's go on and talk about the pros with this album here. So I'd say pro number one is that I really like the flow of her voice. There's a few songs on this album where her vocal patterns, the way that she sings it, sounds really good and really catchy. Like, again, there's a few songs on here. Let me go and pull it up really quick. Like, for example, like Midnight Rain is one of them here. Karma is one of them that I really enjoy, that her vocal patterns and the chords was super catchy, and that one kind of just caught me off guard, going like, wow, that was like a legitimately like really good song. Not that the rest of the album was bad by any means, but I was just like, this was like a really good song. And again, like, when you have that catchiness to your voice, you can make something really clever with that. That's my problem with recording music. I don't know how to make the singing part or the screaming parts like necessarily catchy per se, but I feel like Taylor does a really good job of like just bringing you into her world with her catchy hooks and her lyrics and those types of things. And jumping into that here, whoops, just dropped my pen. Speaking of the lyrics here, I do like the lyrics on this album. Now, I know a lot of people are just going to play like she always sings about the same thing over and over, but the way that I see it, like, I feel like when it comes to music like that, or lyrics, we're all going to go through really dark, depressing times in our lives. There's a few songs on here that do talk about mental health, like No, You're on Your Own, Kid, and those types of things. Like I can get kind of dived into more, or even like Antihero, I think kind of had a little bit of like a mental health message kind of hidden in there a little bit here. And then, you know, there's all the obviously songs about the relationships and those types of things, but it's like, everybody, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, everybody in their life, unless you don't want to have a relationship at all, everybody's going to go through heartbreak or some kind of pain like that throughout, you know, throughout life. You know, like, even bands that I listen to, like, again, like Wage War, Dead Weight, that whole album is in regards to like a bad relationship. And so it's like, why can't Taylor talk about what she's kind of been through? I think she's dating somebody right now. I'm not entirely sure. But again, there's a lot of stuff on the where she's talked about it before. But again, depression and anxiety doesn't go away. Heartbreak doesn't go away. And so I feel like the way that she writes her lyrics and does it in a clever way, again, it's stuff we've heard before, but she writes it in a clever way where you're like, it's still engaging enough where you're like, for me personally, it didn't bother me. I thought she did a good job with the lyrics here. And then I would also say this album is pretty catchy. Like, again, it definitely goes more into the pop roots a little bit here. I know I didn't really listen to her last two albums, Evermore and Folklore. I believe I'm saying that correctly here. Sorry if I get that wrong, but this one definitely felt like more of her earlier, not like earlier stuff, but I guess stuff from like 1989 maybe a little bit, where it's more of the pop. And I really like that, and I thought she did a really good job of bringing that back. I think she has a whole arsenal of stuff she could do with her music that she can just make really cool stuff. If she wants to do a pop album, she totally can. She could do like any genre, I guess, and I think people will really just kind of, you know, gravitate towards it. And I think that was really cool. But yeah, for what it was, man, most of the songs on this album were pretty dang catchy. Now, of course, I do have some cons with the album here. I would say the biggest con for this album here, again, it's not going to bug a lot of people, I don't think, especially if you're a die-hard Taylor Swift fan, which is kind of how I am with a lot of bands that I listen to. Like, I just don't really care, but a lot of the songs on this album do have a tendency to kind of blend together. A lot of them have the same song structure. That's why I gave her a really big props with her singing voice, and that way she's able to like create those really cool hooks and those melodies and those cool vocal patterns in her voice, because a lot of the instruments did kind of sound the same. Like, it seemed like this album, from what it seemed like, it's kind of telling a little bit of a story, and I get that aspect of it here, but like a lot of the songs did have similar structures to me here, so it can be a little hard to pick out which song is which sometimes here. There are a few standouts for sure, which would be my top 3 songs, but again, some of the songs kind of just blend a little bit together. And I would say there are a few songs in this album that I probably would skip. I would probably put a couple of songs on my playlist here. I wouldn't put the entire thing on there, but there are a few songs on this album that I could probably skip and never listen to again. Some of it just felt kind of just a little bit boring, a little bit just not up my alley. But again, there were some songs on here that I personally really enjoyed that I would consider a bop. So let's go on and we'll talk about my top 3 songs that did stand out to me. My top 3 favorite songs from this album here, I would say number 1 is going to be Lavender Haze, just the opening track on the album. I thought that did a really good job of kind of pulling me in. I always talk about how with a good book or a good like video game or an album, I guess you could say, is that it's got to draw you in right away. Like for me, like when I listen to like an album that I'm looking forward to, like, you know, Wage War or Fit for a King, like if the first song could draw me in, generally I'll stick around for the rest of the record, despite of it being good or bad. So I thought Lavender Haze did a really good job of pulling the listener in, myself, you know, included, and jamming the entire album. I thought she did a really good song with that song. The other one I really liked, I don't know if this one's going to be a really popular one, but I really like Midnight Rain. That song was super cool. That weird like altered voice, I don't know if that was her or somebody else, but the way that that sounded was super cool and unique, and I really liked the singing on that. That one really, as I said throughout the reaction, did feel like a Khalid song, like the beat and the way she was singing it. I was like, dude, this reminds me of Khalid through and through. If y'all don't, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know who he is, but if not, definitely go check him out. His song Backseat, oh, it's so good, dude. So catchy. But then also my last favorite song would be Karma. That one caught me off guard, man. I was like, this one's like really catchy. I really enjoyed that song, man. The chorus on that alone was fantastic. The way that she wrote the lyrics in that chorus, I thought were just really clever and just really like inspiring and those types of things. Again, it's lyrics that we've heard before from her, but again, it was done in such a unique way that I'm like, you know what? I'm on board with this, man. I really liked it. This album legitimately surprised me. Like I'm more of a metalhead through and through. Like for me, I look forward to stuff like Fit for a King, Dayseeker's coming out this week here as well. And so like stuff like that, I love metal and rock. Like that's generally what I listen to. But I really enjoyed this album. Again, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It's definitely right there in the middle for me here. I think Taylor Swift is incredibly talented, and I do think her music is really, really good. And I'm not just saying that because it's going to bring in views or just like, oh, you're just trying to be a fanboy because you think she's hot or whatever. She is very pretty, but again, I don't ever consider that going into like, you know, like when it comes to music or those types of things. And I really enjoyed this album. I thought it was really good. I know some people may be let down by it here. I'm actually excited to see what other like massive Taylor Swift fans think of this album, because again, I liked it as a casual listener who likes her. I thought she did a pretty good job with this album. But again, I'm going to give Taylor Swift Midnights a 7 out of 10. I think honestly didn't expect it to go that high. I thought it maybe be a little bit lower, but I think a 7 out of 10 for me personally is really good. As again, as a consumer of metal, giving this album a 7 out of 10, I think is pretty dang good.